On the nasty bits, but Kit, we all know that you performed Love Games, and that there was a significant element that booed you.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you know, we all think we know why, but it's always football hooligans boo.
Well,
yes.
Yeah, this was mentioned.
But that wasn't the worst thing, was it? Because let's face it, you weren't really singing, were you? You were mentioning backing vocals there, and wasn't it true that actually? You know, there were, or wasn't it alleged, that there were backing vocalists who were just doing all the singing?
It was alleged. In the Sun newspaper, it was alleged that the real singing was done by 3 professional session singers hidden behind the scenes. Now, I have to bore you a little bit. I do tend to ramble. I apologise. I waffle and I ramble. Sorry. I have to explain to you that the rules of the Eurovision entries at that time was that you had 6 singers per song. You were allowed up to 6 singers per song. The BBC had always felt that they should use the full complement. Up until that point, they'd always used 6 singers on every song. So if you had a ballad sung by one person, there would be 5 singers. And the BBC, in their wisdom, chose to put these singers out of view. Fair enough. So when you had a 4-piece group dancing, etc., there would be 2 singers beefing up the sound, making it a bit bigger behind the scenes, because the rules allowed it to be so. So when we came along and did ours, we had 3 backing singers, and because we were doing a dance routine, they were obviously not to be shot because that would be detracting from the actual act. So yes, we had 3 backing singers, but I suppose in retrospect, it was not a wise thing to have them out of sight, out of view, but they were. And we were in with the rules of the competition. Well, these particular backing singers one night were taken out for jollies and drinks and meals with a certain reporter from the Sun newspaper, and his job was to try and get something of an angle, and the angle he came up with was that in fact the real singing was done. This is very important, this particular phrase, the real singing was done by hidden backing singers, and implied strongly that, I think it said, we weren't singing. We were basically implied that we were miming to 3 people behind the scenes. Totally not true, obviously. Nobody sung lead vocals but myself, obviously. And yeah, Linda and Laura's backups, because they were busy dancing and moving around and jumping about, their backups were aided by our 3 backing singers. When we got home from Luxembourg, the Sun newspaper then ran an article saying all this, that we weren't doing the real singing. And I sued them. Successfully. It took 2 years. It was stressful because my lawyer sent me to see a barrister in Temple, and the barrister said, "Oh, I hate these cases because if you're not millionaires and things, you know, justice sometimes is not always done, etc. You could lose your house." And my husband was incredible. He was so totally supportive. He said, "You've got to go for it." I've been a professional singer all my life, you know, in every shape and form since I was 17 years old, a professional singer. And the Sun newspaper said, they implied I'd come through some sort of dancing school. I can't dance, I'm hopeless. They implied, you know, I'd done the stage school bit, you know, what? I'd just been a singer all my life, and they implied that I didn't sing. And so I sued them, and I won, and that was that.
Let's all boycott the Sun forever.
Well, no, actually, at the end of it, I was quite grateful, actually. Yes, of course, they had to, part of the whole legal processes, they had to, I'm trying to cast my mind back, you know, obviously they paid me a sum of money, they paid all my costs. They had to print a retraction in the same size of lettering and headlines on the same page and everything as they did the original defamatory article, yeah.
But then, I mean, it strikes me then that having been burnt very slightly, of course you went back again to Eurovision and were backing singers, I mean, for example, with Samantha Janus back in '91.
I'm a singer, it's what I do for a living, you know.
Yeah. But of course, what was the difference then in '91?
Well, the difference in '91 was that Samantha's group was herself and 3 girls, as you probably know, you know, doing their dance routine and everything. And then myself and my friend Hazel, who I booked on the job to do the backups, we were kept in vision. And if you look on YouTube and you see the actual thing, You don't see as much, but it was a thing that you would see, as every now and again you'd see the two of us standing at the back doing backup vocals whilst the actual four-piece group was doing the fronting act, you know.
And so, what's your other great love of your life then, since I mean, obviously you still sing, you've just come here from a singing engagement, haven't you?
Absolutely, I was working till 2 o'clock last night in South London, in the Avenida nightclub. Yeah, but the great love of my life is horses, Arabian horses.
And you do dressage, is that
and
right?
I do dressage, yeah.
Oh, you see.
Yeah.
And do you have backing singers for dressage?
Well, sometimes I sing to my horse. I have a very special horse. He's 15 years old, and I've had him from a baby, from a foal, and he is the love of my life, and I live with him, you know. I never go to bed at night when I'm at home without going and kissing him goodnight, and sometimes I sing to him, and I just don't think he's into music.
Well, let's turn down to Sarah, if I may do. Get you there. We've obviously seen you because you know you've done a fair amount of telly in your time and things like that, and we've probably all seen you from the Girly Show and.
If you're old enough to remember.
Well, none of the people in here are old enough, but I think we all got up to watch Live and Kicking, I think, and to remember that. So how did you get into TV, and more importantly, how did you get into doing the Eurovision gig?
TV, you know, people come up to me all the time and say, how do I get into it? And there's no real, you can't do a course, I mean, you can do TV presenting courses, but there's no real way. I mean, Jo Wiley used to book talent on The Word, whoever remembers that. I think she booked Nirvana, she was a TV booker. Christine Blakely was a floor manager. And then suddenly started doing reports, and one day Miley Class, I think, was pregnant and got poorly towards the end of her pregnancy, and they drafted her into the One Show, and the rest is history. For me, I was in a dance audition, dancing, because I've never been able to sing, but I did come through the musical theatre route. I could dance probably, you and I together would be awesome. You do the singing, I'll do the dancing. And I was dancing in an audition for an agency, and the person that was filming it was married to an executive at Nickelodeon. This was way back in the early 90s. And she liked the way I look, and she thought it was quite funny because I messed up my song. Because I can't sing. So no one made me sing today. I was getting very drunk first. and the rest was history. So I started on Nickelodeon, and within about a year of doing my apprenticeship on Nickelodeon, I was on the Girly Show. So I literally went from the sublime, being kids' telly, Nickelodeon, nobody really watching it, to the ridiculous, which was a programme that replaced The Word and was at the forefront of youth culture television in the 90s. But I'm kind of proud of it because essentially it's part of television history.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, rolling forward then, of course, your first Eurovision, I think, was
Helsinki.
Yes.
It was. Yeah, my first Eurovision was Helsinki. I have a friend who's a commissioner at the BBC, Suzanne Gilfillan, who's lovely, and she commissions all the Eurovision stuff. And I think she thought, let's give Sarah a go. Nobody quite realised how much I was going to embrace it. So I went to Helsinki, Finland, with Paddy, instantly fell in love with him, and the whole thing, like this, I'm having a time of my life here today. And stupidly, the following year, the new commissioner of the BBC, of BBC One, Danny Cohen, I don't know if anyone knows, he was commissioner of BBC Three until about 3 days ago, and he decided that Eurovision needed someone younger and funkier, and he got Caroline Flack in to do it, who you may have seen on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here Now on ITV2. She was shit. Caroline wouldn't actually mind me saying that. She'd probably agree with me. So then I was back from Moscow.
Sorry, allegedly.
I'm allowed to have an opinion, Marcus. In my opinion, she doesn't love it the way I love it.
Kit will sue you.
Yeah, so I came back from Moscow. I missed Belgrade brilliantly. Apparently it was
Belgrade.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
it was much fun.
So what's your Eurovision sort of run-up week like? Because obviously we see you in Vision.
Well, that's my working week. You guys are all partying. I'm working. You know, the semi-finals are... Obviously, we're all working towards the final... Is it 10? It's 10, isn't it? No, hang on, 25. Out of... Oh, God.
Hundreds and hundreds.
Hundreds and hundreds. I literally go blind.